Hi everyone, thanks again for joining our Simple Campus Management webinar today. I'm Andrew from the Sky Enterprise team, and the presentation and demo will run for about 25 minutes. During that time, the audience will be on mute. However, we do encourage you to ask questions along the way. Please use the questions box on the portal, and our team is standing by to answer your questions. At the end of the presentation, we will also stay on the call to review any further questions that you might have. So the topic for today is simple campus management. And when I think about managing campus networks, I think about lots of similar devices doing mostly similar tasks. So when it comes to deployment, configuration, and ongoing management of these devices, I think typically of highly repetitive tasks that are potentially time-consuming and usually boring. So what we're going to show you today is how you can use Juniper Sky Enterprise to make life much easier. And I guess using that well-known analogy that campus switches should be treated like cattle and not pets. So in this session, we're going to start with a simple overview of Sky Enterprise for those of you who might be new to the platform. And from there, we're going to look at some of the key features for campus management. And after that, we'll dive into the demonstration, and we'll finish off by talking about some of our new features that are coming to the platform very soon. These include MC lag and enhancements to virtual chassis management. So for those of you who might be new to Sky Enterprise, let's start with a very brief overview. Sky Enterprise is a cloud-based network management platform designed specifically for Juniper devices. With Sky Enterprise, you can connect your Juniper devices to the platform by simply adding a few lines of Junos config to each device. Sky Enterprise supports nearly all the EX switches, SRX and VSRX firewalls, and NFX devices. Sky Enterprise is delivered as a service, so there's nothing to install or maintain. And with just a browser, you can manage your network from anywhere. All communication is secure, and importantly, devices call home to Sky Enterprise. So there's typically no need to change firewall rules to enable the service. And if you run AeroHive or missed Wi-Fi access points, Sky Enterprise includes a simple integration that will give you visibility of those devices in the Sky Enterprise portal. And one of the best things about Sky Enterprise is that it is very simple to use. You don't need Juniper experience to manage a network with Sky Enterprise. The platform also includes multi-tenancy and multiple role-based access. Now let's take a look at the key features in Sky Enterprise for campus management. A logical starting point for campus management is deployment. And here we have features for adding new devices into the network and connecting them to the platform. Plus, we have options for adding existing brownfield devices. This can take the form of manually adding devices one by one, or the option of bulk loading many devices in one action. Next, we're going to look at monitoring and visibility of the campus environment. Here we have visibility of individual device configuration and an audit trail of the last 50 commits. This includes the ability to compare and roll back commits. Sky Enterprise also has an opt-in feature which will collect and store all the configuration files for your devices and give you a history of those files. And this makes it extremely easy to replace a device after a hardware failure. For monitoring, we have real-time performance graphs and Wi-Fi access point visibility. And of course, configuring devices in the campus environment is a regular task. Sky Enterprise makes this easy even for engineers with no Junos experience. You can use a browser to view and configure interfaces, VLANs, ranges, spanning tree protocol, and much more. And when you're managing a fleet of devices, using the bulk update features saves a lot of time. Okay, so now we're going to take a closer look at some of these features. Okay, so now we're going to jump into the platform, and starting with our sites view, we can see our network locations. From here we have a look at our device list, which lists all the devices connected to Sky Enterprise, the model, their IP address, location, and status. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at how you use some of the bulk update features. So we go into the configuration tab and bulk updates, and let's say we wanted to make a change across a number of devices by using set commands. So we add the set command, and then we go to the device list and select the devices that we want to edit. We click run, and then the system prompts us for an OK. Then in the background, Sky Enterprise goes to these devices, makes a configuration change, and at the end produces a report where you can see what changes were successful and where there were errors. Now let's look at a slightly more complicated scenario where we want to use bulk updates with a variable within them. So in this instance, we've got a template called SNMP description, and we want to change the SNMP configuration across all devices. And we can now go back to bulk updates, select the advanced template option, select the template, and then select the devices. Once the devices have been selected, we can then edit each of those devices to give them a unique variable for the update. Now when we run the update, again Sky Enterprise goes to those devices, configures them, and generates a report that shows us whether the update was successful or not. In this instance, we see one was successful, but there was a syntax error with one of the devices. So let's look at that again. In our first device, our EX new, we've got a description that's got a space in it, and in that instance we need to put commas around that. We rerun the update, and it is successful across both devices. Okay, the next thing we're going to take a look at is how you can use the zero-touch provisioning feature in Sky Enterprise to automatically deploy devices straight into Sky Enterprise. So in this section here, we can see an example EX template that we're going to use for this configuration. And to add an EX device, we simply go to the devices list, choose add device, put in the name of the new device, the category, and then we select create ZTP device. From here we can select the template, add the serial number of the device, and add a field for the variables. We then create the device, and Sky Enterprise generates a configlet, which is not used in this instance because we're doing ZTP, but is handy in case you ever need to do it manually. And then we can see the device is added to Sky Enterprise but not yet online. Now you wouldn't normally have to do this, but here we have a console of the device and we can see what's happening in that console. So as you can see, the phone home feature is there on this device. And if we now go to the configuration tab, we can see that the new device has been added and is currently in the entitled state. The entitled state is the period where the device has been added to Sky Enterprise, and Sky Enterprise in the background is updating Juniper's redirect server. Redirect is the server that phone home contacts, and Sky Enterprise is currently adding the serial number to the redirect server. So as we refresh that a few times, normally takes a few minutes, what we'll see is that entitled state will then change and move to a start state. And there we see that change has come about. Now, in the background, that device is constantly calling home. It has reached Sky Enterprise, and the authorization status has turned to required. So for a ZTP device to connect and get its configuration, it must be authorized by an administrator for security reasons. The administrator also gets an email with a link that they can click to authorize a device. So now we go back to the configuration tab, and from there we can see that the ZTP process is currently in a start state. Now if we again look at the EX device, and just a reminder, you don't need to do this, just to show you, we can see that a commit has taken place and the device name has now been changed to EX test 1, which confirms that the config has been pushed down to the device. Now if we return back to the ZTP section, we see that the device is now in a bootstrap complete state. And returning to our device list, we can see that that device is now online and ready to be managed by Sky Enterprise. So for instance, we can click on the Interfaces and VLANs tab, and here we can see all of those interfaces, VLANs, etc. So moving back to the device list, I just want to demonstrate how you would add a device manually. We select the Add Device, you put the device name in, and then specify whether it's a firewall, switch, or NFX. You create the device, and Sky Enterprise generates a unique configlet and displays it on the screen. You can also download it. Once you have this configlet, you simply paste it onto the device and commit, and that device will automatically call home to Sky Enterprise to be managed. So once a device is managed by Sky Enterprise, there's numerous configuration features that you can use for day-to-day management. So for instance, here we have a look at the list of commits that have occurred on a device, and you can see all the commits and even compare commits and do rollbacks. For config backups, we collect the current backup from the device and save that to the system. If there's a system update, we will capture the latest config and provide you a history of that config. We also do things like license tracking. We have various actions, diagnostics, RPM probes, and a host of other management features. If you run AeroHive or missed Wi-Fi, we have a simple integration that allows you to add your devices to Sky Enterprise and gives you visibility of those access points. Here you can see an access point with 2 clients connected, and we can view those details and also look at the devices that are connected to that access point. The integration for Wi-Fi is very simple. In the Settings tab, simply go to the missed Wi-Fi, add your missed credentials, and Sky Enterprise will make an API connection into missed or AeroHive system. So that's the end of our demo. So we've just seen in the demo how you can manually add a device into Sky Enterprise and get a configlet that you paste on the device for it to call home. This is really useful for adding brownfield devices, but what if you had hundreds of devices to add to Sky Enterprise? Well, here we offer a bulk upload. And what that entails is for you to provide us with a CSV file that contains the name and the category of the device, so whether it's a firewall or a switch. In addition, optionally you can add a site name and or tags to the CSV. So if you send a CSV to Sky Enterprise, the team will upload all of those devices into Sky Enterprise for you and provide you with a list of unique configlets for each of those devices. So it's simply a case of then pasting on the configlet onto the right device, and it will call home and be connected and ready for management. So to give you an idea of how effective this is, we recently had a customer add over 300 devices into Sky Enterprise and was able to connect them all and have them managed within 24 hours. So to finish off this presentation, I'd just like to tell you about a few features that are currently in beta and will be released sometime next month. So the first of those is our multi-chassis layer aggregation feature. And for any of you who have tried to configure MC lag on a Junos device using CLI, you'll understand that it's not a simple process. But with Sky Enterprise, this feature will make it a lot easier. So here's a screenshot from our staging environment where we're testing this at the moment. And basically what you see is a simple workflow where the interface shows the name of the pod, its status, and lists the active and standby peer switches. Below this is a function to add new access switches, and currently connected access switches are shown in a list below, and this includes the option of viewing details of each switch. The next feature we're currently working on is virtual chassis monitoring and management. While Sky Enterprise has supported virtual chassis in a basic format for some time, now we're adding additional configuration and management features to enhance this capability. The screenshot you see here is from our staging environment where the feature is currently being tested. This screenshot shows a virtual chassis dashboard and lists all the members and the relevant details. The menu action includes options to edit each member and the option to delete members. This feature will be released next month. We sometimes get feedback that the supported device list in the ordering guide is a bit confusing, so I just wanted to clarify that Juniper Sky Enterprise supports all EX devices running Junos with very few exceptions. And recently we've added support for QFX 5100s. So as we come to the end of this presentation, I'd like to remind you that we have a free trial available. This is available for all Juniper staff, Juniper partners, and customers. To request a trial, please go to the Juniper Sky Enterprise link at juniper.net/try. And once your account has been activated, you'll be able to connect a bunch of devices and try the system for yourself. So thank you very much for your time and attention today. We will now move on to questions. If you have a question, please put it into the questions box and we'll provide an answer for you right now. If you don't have any questions, feel free to drop off. And once again, thank you for making the time to find out more about Juniper Sky Enterprise.